Hey, welcome to MLS God of Law. Welcome. Hey, yeah, grounds. We have another Darrell Brooks trial coming. I had previewed this about 8 months ago when it was originally scheduled to go, and now it is finally going. So I wanted to talk a little bit about it, inform you all as to exactly what was going on and go from there. Plus, I haven't really done a live thing in a while, so I thought I'd do a live thing real quick. This could be a short video. We had a pretrial hearing today for Darrell Brooks. It's about 15 minutes. That's all it was because it's just a pretrial. But we'll watch it and we'll talk a little bit about the case. But hey, Justin, I see Aaron, Olivia, welcome. Paige M, welcome all. I'm just trying to figure out. All right, now we are live on X. For some reason, we weren't live on X for a minute, so I was just checking that out. My plan is to stream the trial. I'm hoping to be able to make it into my schedule. On Monday, they're starting with jury selection, so I'm probably not going to stream on Monday. I'll be monitoring it and figuring out when the trial actually starts, and then I will stream it. Although you might see a thumbnail up scheduled for Monday. It's just going to be like a holding place for day one of trial. They are, well, you'll see. The judge will talk about it in a little bit in the hearing that we're talking about, but she's not confident that she's going to be able to get a jury that hasn't heard about Darrell Brooks. I wonder why. Trial with me. Yes, this is going to be an interesting trial. So I am definitely interested in covering this case. And again, I'm hoping I can make it in my schedule. So I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. So if you don't know who Darrell Brooks is, he's a crazy guy.
All right, thank you.
Well, no, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to pause it. This is Darrell Brooks. And he was convicted of running down and killing, I think, 5 people in a parade in Milwaukee in 2021. But it's like prior to that or just after that, somehow in connection with that whole thing, he attempted to run down his ex-girlfriend, the mother of his children, Erika Patterson. The news reports have it made out to be that he actually ran her down, like ran over her, or it's not quite clear. Although we do have a part of her testimony, which we might go over if we have time. We'll see how this plays out. But she did testify in his parade murder spree trial. So we might look at that a little bit. But let's take a look at this hearing first. Hey, Josie, welcome. There we go. Now I figured it out. Listen.
Hi.
This is how friendly he is. He's like, hey, Your Honor. The judge, hi, how are you? Very different demeanor than he had with Judge Mommy. Yes, this is from today. This is from a couple of hours ago. I grabbed the audio, or I grabbed the video rather, and edited it because they had a bunch of technical issues. And first they went off the record so that he could talk to his attorney, and then they went back on the record, and then the internet went down. And so I tried to edit a bunch of stuff out.
State of Wisconsin versus Darrell Brooks, 21 CF 4596, 21 CF 502. Appearances.
Matthew Tarbinson and Shelley Grosso appear for the state. Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Attorney Russell Jones on behalf of Mr. Brooks. Mr. Brooks appears in person. I appear via Zoom. Good afternoon, Judge.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. When
Not Judge
Mr.
Mommy.
Brooks first got here, my deputies alerted us to the fact that he wanted to speak with Mr. Jones. Given the fact that Mr. Jones is via Zoom and Mr. Brooks is here in person, the way we accommodated that was everyone left the courtroom, including the spectators in the gallery, the person who is here filming for the media, and obviously all the parties and my staff, except for the deputies. For security reasons, of course, they had to stay with Mr. Brooks. So I allowed them to have a conversation. I wasn't paying attention to how much time it was. It might have been, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. I allowed Mr. Brooks to have that conversation with Mr. Jones. And then after Mr. Jones alerted the lawyers, I think, and my deputies alerted us, we all came back in. Is that correct, Mr. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we are here for, it was supposed to be a motion hearing and a final pretrial on these matters. They are set for trial on
I know everyone's
Monday,
disappointed
May
it's not
6th,
Judge
so
Mommy.
that's just a couple days from now. At our last date on January 18th,
Hey,
the state
Vodka Blood,
indicated
welcome.
they thought
Yes,
they
we
would
are
be filing
live.
an amended information and an other acts motion. The defense also thought they may have been filing some motions, so we set this for about 90 minutes. I set deadlines for that all motions were to be filed by March 22nd.
So what she's talking about here, initially, the state gave indication that they were going to use the whole parade unaliving as part of this trial. This prosecution, thankfully, had sort of like a justice sort of mindset and was like, no, I don't think we're going to introduce that.
And April 19th for the responses. I will note that nothing has been filed from either side as far as any
Yeah, I'm going to try to
substantive
cover the
motions.
trial, Salvador.
Motions in limine
We could tag
were
team if I'm not
filed,
available.
I just believe by the defense, and they appeared to be standard. So there is nothing to proceed on as far as any substantive motions. Do we remain in a trial posture, Mr. Jones?
We do, Judge, and with respect to the motion filings,
you can't buy a membership or super chat because I am not monetized on this channel just yet. I have, what do I have? I have maybe like 800 more watch hours I need in order to get monetized. So let me just check. And it's always a lag, right? So I need, I'm at 2,600 or 2,481 of 3,000. So I'm at like 600 more watch hours is what I need in order to get monetized. Then you can super chat and member all you want.
we were anticipating potentially the state filing, and it would have been a response to the other acts. Presumably, they're not seeking that since they didn't file that. So that's why we had nothing else to file other than our standard motions.
Okay. And nothing from the state?
Correct. I anticipated filing another acts motion. I thought about it. The prejudice hurdle would be extraordinarily high in this particular case.
You think?
And when I gave it more thought, the state didn't anticipate using that other acts because of the prejudicial nature of those other acts unless there was a defense that triggered the high amount of relevancy to those other acts. And I think that would just as likely happen if the door is potentially open by one of those defenses being argued in this particular trial.
I wonder what those defenses
So
would
rather
be.
than file
What do you
the
got to
motion,
argue?
If the defense becomes that this is an accident or some sort, then I may raise the issue at that point. So, but I did not.
See, I think this took place. I think this took place after he ran through the parade, not before.
Okay. All right. So we'll deal with those issues if they arise during trial. Maybe they won't. So obviously we have some special issues associated with this case. Jury selection is going to be our biggest hurdle. What I have thought, just on my own, and I don't know if the parties have thought about this, I don't know if anybody would think that a court trial would be a preferable way to go to avoid any of those potential issues that would arise with having a jury and trying to seat a jury with a case that has not, this case is not notorious, but certainly Mr. Brooks's other case is notorious. And we certainly will do our best to seat a fair and impartial jury. But that's just.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought too. And then the way the media was covering it, it sounded like it was after the fact, because what they said is that he attempted to run her down at the gas station and then took off from police and then was found later at his mom's house, which is like, well, there was a whole parade thing in there, right? Except unless that happened first.
That's just off the top of my head. I think that might be the best way, but of course, Mr. Brooks, that is ultimately his decision on whether it would be a court trial or a jury trial. So I just throw that out there. Nobody's requested that at this point. There has been a request for a jury trial, so we will plan on that, but it is just some food for thought, that it may be a way to allow.
He's not going to go bench trial.
evidence to be presented without the potential tangential issues that would arise with the jury. So that's just something to think about. In addition to that, if I'm going to go on the assumption at this point that we are having a jury trial, I have not prepared any written information. I will prepare that over the weekend and give it to the parties, and we can certainly talk about it. But I think we have to address it. No one is going to pretend that we're going to introduce Mr. Brooks and no one's going to know who he is. So obviously it's not going to be, one of the standard questions I asked.
No, he has an attorney this time. It's disappointing.
Has anyone heard anything about this case or about this defendant or had any opinion as to anything? That may foreclose us from seating any of the people that we bring in.
His attorney's the one on Zoom,
right
by
off
the way.
Bat, because it was a big deal. The Waukesha case was a big deal. So I will prepare something. Do the parties have thoughts? Or do you want to prepare something as well?
Is that what it was? Maybe that's what it was.
Together as far as a preliminary statement to the jurors. I mean, obviously advising them that this needs to be, you will only judge this case on this evidence, and, asking those questions if they can be fair and impartial.
Hey, participation trophy wife. This is Darrell Brooks trial number 2. He is being charged with, actually, let me go through the list because there's a lot of them. In connection with an assault on his ex-girlfriend, the mother of his child, resisting and obstructing an officer, bail jumping, second-degree reckless endangering safety, disorderly conduct, battery, domestic abuse, and there's an added charge that we'll hear today of intimidating.
And put out of their minds anything that they may know about Mr. Brooks. Each side can submit something if they would like. I'm kicking myself that I didn't think to tell everybody to do this ahead of today's date, so we could have worked it out.
That's the plan, half Irish.
This afternoon rather than doing it on Monday, but that was my error. I probably should have thought of that, and I did not. So if the parties want to do that, they can do that. I will have some language that I work up as well to address that. Other than that, I just talked with a sergeant from the Sheriff's Department. In the past, Mr. Brooks has been transported directly here and not really held in the jail, even as a waiting position, until he's brought directly to court. And then generally he's whisked away. I don't know what their plan is. I've got some concerns that if we're going to be in trial, I don't know what the situation would be in the jail, but I have alerted a sergeant in the Sheriff's Department to my concerns to make sure that Mr. Brooks is going to be here every morning for trial, that we're not going to end up with him being housed somewhere else. But I don't know that's.
I don't know why this is such a concern.
Generally, I
mean, you writ the prisoner from jail
to make sure
or prison
that we have no delays when it comes to that. Is there anything that, I think your motions in limine were pretty standard, Mr. Jones. So you've both tried many cases in front of me. Everybody knows generally how I run things and how things work. So I think they're standard motions in limine, so they were along with the rules of how I do things.
That's what I was wondering, because I'm hoping to have enough time. We might watch it a little bit, the testimony of his ex-girlfriend during that trial. I was wondering if that's what it was.
Does the state have
she was
anything
really
you want
trying to intimidate her.
address on the record this afternoon?
Your Honor, the only thing that I want to address is I do anticipate filing an amended information. I have, for a long time, been very clear that if this proceeded to trial, that I would file charges of intimidation based on the calls that were made on particular days.
Oh,
so I
phone calls.
Having a total of 6.
It is phone calls.
Charges for intimidation of a victim in the amended information.
6.
I will get that filed.
6 threats or intimidations.
But I have explained that both to Attorney Jones. I've explained that to previous counsel numerous times in communications on this case. I don't think that's a surprise
court appointed.
to anybody. I think on the charge in the underlying domestic violence case, we are going to be proceeding on amended charge of first-degree recklessly endangering safety rather than second-degree recklessly endangering safety. So we will have those charges amended. And if the court wishes, I can prepare the jury instructions over the weekend, if that helps with regards to the charges.
Okay.
And then my
All
only
right.
other question is, would the court prefer having information with both cases joined in a single information or having two informations with two cases?
I'll find out.
Prepared either way.
That is a CCAP protect issue.
Imagine they'll
that
play him
is
at
above
trial.
My pay grade.
Okay.
I think they probably need to be filed in each case. I'm looking at the back of my clerk's head, and she's indicating, yes, that would be better. So separate, for
Okay.
the separate cases. Mr. Jones, do you want to be heard as to what Mr. Torbensen's statements or your
Sure.
own issues?
Yeah, let me respond to Mr. Torbenson first, and I have a few things I'd like to address. Mr. Torbenson indicated if it does not resolve with a plea, he would file an amended information and bring all the charges he thinks that he can prove, and that's not news to me, and it's not news to prior counsel. I have requested for Mr. Torbenson, I know I have it in writing somewhere, but I've made a request of him to put his offer in writing because Mr. Brooks wants it in writing in an email, so you could just send me one today with that discussion. Mr. Brooks had some issues with.
No, they're still talking plea offers. Oh, he might just take it.
Potentially discovery at basketball. I'm going to provide him written or all paper discovery that I physically can get my hands on and give it to him also Monday, even though we sent it to him back in March. And I'm not saying Mr. Brooks is wrong. I'm sure the institution may have lost it, but we can deal with that. I have it all. I'm prepared. The one request, I only have two requests. Number one, I think given the nature of this and the panel and the background, it would make sense if we started maybe at 9 o'clock. I have two quick appearances at 8:15 and 8:30 that I'd like to clear off. If we come in.
By the way, it's very common for the state to amend charges just before trial. It happens almost all the time.
And I prefer it to be issued by the court rather than the state or me. I think we could accomplish that in probably about a half an hour's time. The other thing I'm going to make this request, and I don't know how much the court has the authority to do this other than that you can make a request to the jail, but your request would probably be received better than mine, even though I've made inquiries. I know, or at least I've learned now, Mr. Brooks might be moving back and forth to the institution. I understand we can't control that. If at the end of every day of trial, I can have a deputy keep him in the bullpen for some period of time, a half an hour, so I can at least meet with him in the bullpen, or if we can break at 4:30, so we can have someone till 5 o'clock, so I can have some time with Mr. Brooks after each day of trial. It may not be needed. I might say, hey, today that we don't need it, but I'd like that little bit of cushion because he's going to be physically removed.
Not yet, Nick, but welcome.
Maybe we break a little bit earlier than we normally would, so I would have that on days.
Is it your birthday today?
Thinking ahead.
Sure, I think
Nick,
we can accomplish that.
I messaged you. You ignored my message.
So I want as much communication with Mr. Brooks, obviously, as possible, but I understand I'm bound by the executive, or strike the executive branch in their whims.
Judge, it's probably too late for this as well, but I'm just taking in the size of your courtroom physically, and I'm wondering if there's any chance we could switch courtrooms just for jury selection even, because I imagine we're going to have a rather large panel for jury selection.
What I anticipated doing, and I think it probably is too late to plan a switch now. What I would anticipate is I can get 35 in. It's tight, but we can do it. So we can have 35 people in here. And then if we are able to, let's say, seat 8 out of the 35, we will put them back in our jury room and bring a fresh panel of 35 over and do it in that way.
This is going to be a long jury selection process.
Given, as I said, the notoriousness of the Waukesha case.
He's very notorious. Infamous, if you will.
I want to guess that one of the bigger courtrooms is going to accommodate it and still doesn't, and have everybody move for those purposes. So I think we just kind of get as many as we can and then start with a new group. So it may take longer than usual, so we may do a couple processes.
I don't know why he's in a wheelchair, Rebecca.
In piecemeal fashion. But we should be able to accomplish it in that way. I think if we do run into issues, that may be the best way. So
he was in a wheelchair last time, too.
Mr. Torbenson has offered to put together the jury instructions. I appreciate that. And we will all work on what our idea of a statement looks like as far as what to tell the jury about this case, and that it is only this case they are to determine. Not anything else they may know or heard or think or believe they know or any.
I have no idea.
And we will question people about that specifically. It's not going to be a general run-of-the-mill, I assume you haven't heard anything about this. You haven't, yeah.
I know he was brought in a wheelchair several times when he had the bulletproof vests on him and he refused to actually walk in under his own power and make appearances. So that's what I was originally thinking. But when he rolled in, if we go back to the beginning, maybe I'll go back to the beginning. He was like all chummy with the judge. So I don't know.
So we will take it from there. So everybody's going to bring that statement, and Mr. Torbensen's going to do the jury instructions. Is there
Yeah, he was.
more from the defense?
Yeah, and Judge, I have a scheduled meeting with Mr. Brooks tomorrow at 2:30. Apparently that's not going to occur because he won't be at the jail. I'm efforting to get a meeting with him at his institution when we.
I don't know that for sure.
Well, Mr. Brooks is fairly confident of that. Either way, I've got the one set up at the jail. I'm going to try and set up the one at the institution, and hopefully, one of them occurs.
Okay.
To get to him, but we'll stay.
The whole internet went down and he cut out, and so I cut all that out.
Communication. And do
That's why there was the jump.
Okay. All right. Hi, you're back.
I can see you.
Yes.
You're muted. I don't know if you can hear me.
Your mute is on.
Oh. Thank you.
See how chummy he is?
I automatically ended up muted, but Mr. Brooks pointed out to me that I could unmute. So now we can hear you and you can hear us.
We're back.
All right. So
the last thing I heard was Mr. Torbensen saying he has a homicide trial, has an emergency stay, and then he froze.
right.
I think it's unlikely for the stay to be lifted, and this should be the case that can go on Monday.
Okay. All right. All right, then I think we just stand ready to go on Monday, barring something else happening. Mr. Brooks, I don't know where you're going to be, but I look forward to seeing you on Monday.
This is judge not how is it that the judge has such difficulty getting a defendant to court for trial? That doesn't make any sense to me. But that was the hearing, essentially. Then there was a bunch of other technical issues and it shut off. No way he could get a fair trial. Oh, no. He's not going to be able to get a fair trial. Now, that leads to, was there a motion to remove the trial? I don't know. Presumably it happened in the same area, but it's not the same judge, which is unusual because most of the time you would expect the same defendant in sort of a related case to get the same judge, but maybe not. I don't know. You would in Michigan anyways. The judge is way too nice. Well, she talks a lot less, that's for sure. She talks a lot less. All right. So this is his ex-girlfriend. This is her testimony, at least a portion of it from the trial. We'll watch a little bit of this because I'm curious to see what she has to say here. Here we go.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Oh, right on her birthday.
What's the nature of your relationship with Mr. Brooks?
We have a 15-year-old daughter together.
In what state did you meet Mr. Brooks?
Reno, Nevada.
And when did you come to Wisconsin?
Last year, 2021, June 13th.
Why did you come to Wisconsin?
We were coming out here. I was going to be out here for 2 weeks and go back, and then went back.
Who did you come to Wisconsin with?
Darrell Brooks.
Where did you live when you got to Wisconsin?
Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, we live with his mother, sorry.
Mr. Brooks' mother?
Mhm.
In what city was that?
Hold on, was that a yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's what my job is to make sure the record is
Yes,
correct.
ma'am. Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
At some point, did
Milwaukee.
you stop living in Milwaukee and start living in Waukesha?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember approximately when that timeline was?
November 2nd, 2021.
Okay. Where were you staying in Waukesha?
The women's shelter in Waukesha.
That's downtown?
Yes.
Do you know a person by the name of Corey Runkle?
Yes.
Where did you meet Corey Runkle?
The women's shelter.
Were you roommates?
Yes.
I want to direct your attention to the date of November 21st, 2021.
Yes.
Did you know anything about a parade happening in Waukesha that day when you woke up that morning?
I didn't know about the parade.
Okay, what about that afternoon? Did it become apparent to you that something
Yes.
was going on?
Yes.
Did you come into contact with Darrell Brooks on the afternoon of November 21st, 2021?
Yes,
Where did you first come into contact with Mr. Brooks?
at Frame Park.
And how did that come about? What were you doing and why did he get there?
We were messaging and calling each other all day. We were arguing back and forth. He came out there. Well, I told him I was with Miss Corey, and he came out there. I told him where I was. Got in his car. We drove around, and then I forgot the street. We went up that street. It's a hill. It's kind of by the Walgreens. We went up that hill. We drove around. Me and him got into an altercation. He hit me in my eye. I jumped out of the car, walked, and found my way back by Frame Park. And then he followed me there. And then I went back in his car. I got out, and I had called Corey. Well, I called Corey before that, and she came to meet me. I told her that me and him got into an altercation. So she met up with me, and by the time she got there, she pulled me out the way because his car turned around. He swerved. She pulled me out of the way. He got up his car, and they got into an altercation. He pushed her in her face, and I don't remember if she hit him back or anything. That we walked away and walked back to the women's shelter.
Okay, let's go back and go through some of the details of that, all right?
Yes.
You said that you told Mr. Brooks that you were hanging out with Miss Corey.
Yes.
Were you hanging out
Okay.
with Corey Runkle earlier that day?
Yes. Her and her.
I'm going to take that as a compliment on me.
Do you remember where you were with those two?
Is at the Frame Park. 'Cause
Not
we had
this
split
guy.
up when I met up with Darrell.
Okay. Do you remember what you were doing in Frame Park with Corey?
We were just hanging out.
Okay. Any alcohol involved?
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you
They had like
remember?
a Mike's Hard, the little Mike's Hard beer.
Would you say that you were intoxicated after consuming one Mike's Hard beer?
No, I was not.
I would have
And,
been.
At what point did you split up with Corey?
When Darrell was on his way, Corey and Nick had left. So I sat there and waited for him. We were still arguing on the phone, but I waited for him.
You were in Frame Park.
Yes.
How did Darrell arrive? That is, he didn't walk to Waukesha.
He drove in his mother's car. It was the red, was it a Ford, I believe? I'm not sure what kind of car, but it was a red.
Had you seen him driving that car on previous occasions?
Yes.
Had you ever been in that vehicle before?
Yes.
When you were staying with Mr. Brooks' mother, were you staying in the house?
No.
Where were you staying?
We were outside. Sometimes we'd sleep in that car because his mom, he was not allowed to, be in the house. So, yes.
And you slept in that car with Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
That was before November of 2021?
Yes.
Describe for us what happened when Mr. Brooks first arrived in Frame Park, when you first saw him that day.
We were still arguing, pretty much. He was already in a bad mood when he met up with me anyways.
This was an argument that face-to-face using words, not messaging,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you get in the vevehicle?
Yes.
Okay.
This is
What happened
essentially going to be the
He drove
trial that we're
around,
going to
we were
watch.
arguing, and that's when we got into the altercation in the car, and that's when I jumped out. We were up the hill.
Do you remember exactly the route that the two of you took while you were driving around?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. She may answer.
Yes, I do. I'm not sure the exact street
I agree
names
with
because
you.
I'm not from Waukesha, but I do know the
Participation.
route.
After, the next day you met with Detective Steve Guth, is that right?
Yes, it was the same day.
Okay. And you got in a squad car with Detective Guth
Oh, that was the next day, yes. Sorry.
and showed him the route that you took with Mr. Brooks?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. You described going up a hill, right?
Yes.
Did you cross the river before you did that?
No.
What happened once you got up at the top of the hill?
He drove up farther more, and then that's when I jumped. It was on up the hill, it was farther more, and then that's when he hit me, and I jumped out of his car. Well, his mother's car.
Where were you sitting when he hit you?
The passenger side front seat,
Where was he sitting?
driver's side,
What did he use to hit you?
his hand.
Was it an open hand, a closed fist?
Yes,
See, I don't know how
Well,
this was
this,
admitted
like,
at his original trial.
but it was hard because
So
it
the record
I mean, if he
shows
had an
witness
attorney, I should say.
raised her right
I don't know
hand,
how this
Yeah.
would have been
raised it almost
admitted.
like a backslap.
harder than that.
What did you do after Mr. Brooks struck you?
I cried, and then I just jumped out of the car, and then going towards down the hill, that's when he was following me,
Describe how you were going down the hill,
walking down the hill,
and how was he going down the hill?
driving.
The red Ford Escape.
Yes,
What happened next?
he just followed me all the way to the park.
Okay.
He tried to take my phone from me at the light going down the hill, and he just kept following me and arguing with me out the window.
But still, I just see this would be if I was making an argument, if I was representing him, I would argue that this testimony in the parade unaliving trial would be more prejudicial than probative. And although you can maybe question her about what vehicle he was driving and then get him in that red SUV, just before the rest of the incident, I would argue hard that this would be more prejudicial than probative and it shouldn't be allowed in. But then again, he was representing himself, so I didn't hear any objections.
window.
Other than grounds.
Do you recall being near a gas station while this argument was happening?
Yes. Yes.
Hold on. Overruled, she may answer, and the answer she provided may stand.
Yes. It was right at the light. The gas station on the, oh, that's a gas station on the left, and then Walgreens is towards the right.
And do you remember what was being said at the gas station?
I do not remember.
What happened when you got past the gas station?
I kept walking. He was still following me.
Did you at any point attempt to contact anybody for help?
No, just Corey, but towards the frame park. That's when I called her, when I got closer to there.
Did she answer?
Yes.
What did you say?
I said, he just hit me. And I said, I need you to meet me. And that's when she met me.
Where did you go?
I walked past frame park and I went, I met Corey. And I got into his car and then got back out. I met Corey at White Rock School, I believe it is.
When you say his car, you're talking about who?
Darrell Brooks.
And were you familiar with White Rock School at the time? Did you ever
No.
been there before?
No.
You just know that from
That's,
talking about this afterwards?
yes.
What happened when you got to White Rock School?
That's when because I had got there, got back in his car, talked to him, got back out. Corey had met. She snatched me out of the way because he swerved his car when he made a U-turn. And then that's when he got out of the car and they were arguing and he hit her in her face. And then
Yeah, see, okay, so he hit me in the face, he hit her in the face. He's following me down this hill. Again, prejudicial over probative, a 403 analysis. I would say could probably keep this out and still get in the fact that I was with him, we got into an altercation and move on.
And I think she pushed him back. I don't recall. And then I was trying to split them up at the time. After that, we just kept walking and went to the women's shelter.
That's right.
Me and Miss Corey.
Madam Clerk, could we please have the state's rear table projected for the witness?
He just wanted an opportunity to jump on him and tackle him to the ground. Yeah, again, I know that this led to it all.
In front of you, a video marked as State's Exhibit number
You don't need to
4.
get into all the
You see
details.
screen?
Yes.
Have you seen this video before?
Yes.
What does it depict, or what's in this video? What are we going to see here?
You're going to see me walking and you're going to see him turning the car back around and Corey meeting up with me in the altercation they had.
Does this video accurately show what happened in front of the White Rock School on November 21st of 2021?
Yes.
Move Exhibit 4 into evidence and request permission to publish.
Any objections?
Yes, we haven't even played the video. How do we know what's even in the video at this point? Can we see the video before it is admitted into evidence?
Your objection is noted. The foundation has been laid. Exhibit 4 is received.
He acts like he's never watched the video before. Or maybe he hasn't.
Permission to publish is granted.
He has like just enough knowledge to not know what he's doing.
Can we also
Shut off the, I think it's the Polycom system that's
Oh,
taking
yeah,
up
we
this
certainly
video.
can.
He's a follower of Chile, right? We've established that.
Timestamp of 51 seconds in this exhibit. Actually, can we pause quick? Paused at 1:04. And just to clarify, Ms. Patterson, we're going to watch portions of the video. We're not going to talk while it's playing. And then when paused, I'll ask you questions, okay?
Okay.
Resume at 1:04.
He acts like he's not himself. Oh, you mean at the neighbor's house or whatever? Or just the random house?
Let's pause. We've paused at 1 minute and 37 seconds. Ms. Patterson, who did we see in the video there walking?
Me.
Okay. And we saw a red SUV, right?
Yes.
Who was driving that SUV?
Darrell Brooks.
Was there anybody else in the vehicle at that point, to your knowledge?
Nope.
Okay. Let's resume playing.
So this is his second trial. Well, I should. This is his ex-girlfriend's testimony at his first trial, but all the stuff he did to her, he's on trial for starting on Monday. So we played his pretrial hearing from earlier today, and now we're just watching a portion of his ex-girlfriend's testimony because everything that she's testifying to right now, he's on trial for starting Monday. Hey, Miss K. Grift. No, he's not representing himself. He's got counsel this time. So it's not going to be as dramatic. Well, he has something like 12 charges in this current case. He might have something outstanding in other areas, but he's got, I think it's a total of 12. And they just added 6 more counts of witness intimidation. Apparently he was making phone calls to this woman. So that's going to be the new part of the trial that we haven't had sort of a preview of. But everything going on right now that they're testifying to in his first trial. What are we watching? Does he come by? Oh, that's in there. Right?
Okay, let's pause there.
Yeah, that was in there.
6 minutes and 3 seconds. Ms. Patterson, we watched the video, but you were there. Can you tell us what was happening during that portion of the video we just watched?
Corey and Mr. Brooks were arguing, and that's when he pushed her in her face, and I don't recall what she did back, and then that's when he drove off. One of them, I think it was Nick, called the police, and that's when he drove off.
Do you remember what Nick said when he called the police?
I believe Nick said he had a knife, if I recall, but he didn't have one, but that's what Nick said on the phone.
When you say he, who are you talking about?
Darrell Brooks.
Okay. And you didn't see Mr. Brooks with a knife that day?
No.
What about Nick? Did you see him with a knife?
No.
Did you have a knife?
No.
Corey?
No.
Why do you think Nick said to the police that there was a knife?
Probably to make them come faster.
Who got into the driver's seat at the end of that video?
Darrell Brooks.
And again, anybody in the vehicle at that point?
No.
Other than him?
No.
Let's resume playing from 6:03.
She just keeps walking back and forth. Where's the 15-year-old?
And we can stop it there.
Great movie, Death of Stalin.
What did we see in that clip, Ms. Patterson?
I walked away from Corey and Nick because I was mad because me and her started arguing after that because she was mad that I even met up with Mr. Brooks.
Okay.
And then she was running after me.
Do you know the direction that you were walking there?
Straight. And then
That's fair. Waukesha's
sorry.
confusing.
I'm sorry. It really is. I'm sorry.
Towards downtown or away from?
Towards downtown. Sorry.
Yeah, so at the pretrial hearing, they were talking about trying to come up with a jury panel that didn't know Darrell Brooks or wouldn't be biased in any way based off of this whole trial. And the judge is very skeptical that that's going to be able to happen. So kind of sort of hinted and winked and nod at maybe you want to do a bench trial. But that doesn't seem like something that Darrell Brooks is willing to consider right now. There's also a plea or a plea offer on the table that apparently is going to be sent back and forth between counsels. So who knows? Maybe he'll take the plea offer because he just did get an additional 6 charges of intimidation. And so it might not go to trial at all. It might be a bench trial and then a jury trial. But all that will be figured out Monday Central Time, 9 a.m., I believe.
And where did you go after you walked off the screen here?
I just kept walking until they followed me, and then we made a left. I'm not sure which street it was, but we made a left. We didn't know. Yeah, we just made a left turn and went straight towards the women's shelter.
before you turned off of the street you're walking on here, did you have contact with a police officer?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And you spoke briefly with that officer?
Yes.
And then where'd you go after you spoke with that officer?
Then we left. That's when we made the left across the street and went towards the shelter, women's shelter.
At the moment when Mr. Brooks left the little physical scuffle that we saw there and got into the driver's seat, how would you describe his demeanor?
He was angry.
Okay. How do you know that? What was he saying or doing that led you to believe that?
Besides the fact that he was arguing the whole time and he hit me, he was just mad. He just left very angry. He just drove off fast. He was mad they called the cops.
You don't recall any specific things that he said at that point?
No.
I mean, in reality, no, he's sentenced to life. But if for some reason it gets overturned, maybe ineffective assistance of counsel arguments on appeals, then they'll have him locked up on this one.
Do you recall what kind of shoes he was wearing?
I do not.
Hello,
Do you remember,
hello.
meeting with detectives after this and saying that he was wearing blue slides?
I don't recall that,
Okay.
but I'm sure I did.
Can we please pull up for the witness only
Hey, BL Blazy.
Exhibit 5?
If you guys are coming in late, we are rewatching a little bit of Brooks's ex-girlfriend's testimony because that's the basis for the trial that's starting on Monday.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump ahead there. I'm assuming that Mr. Brooks withdrew that objection.
Thank you. That was my understanding and appreciate that. Okay, go ahead.
And I believe actually Exhibit 5 has already been received and published, so I'd ask to do that again, publish again.
Permission granted.
Jack, wasn't it supposed to be for the witness only?
The exhibit's previously been received and the state requested permission to publish it once again, and I granted that request.
See, I don't know how this is relevant to this trial.
Published again, then it's.
Correct. When I say permission to publish granted, that means it will be shown to the courtroom and to the jury.
I didn't understand.
That's okay.
Ms. Patterson, who's that in the picture?
That's me.
And that photograph was taken
The day of the parade.
November 21st,
Yes.
the night.
Yes.
And what injuries do we see in that video, in that photograph?
That is my left eye that was swollen.
Your left eye would have been the eye closest to the defendant, based on your description of where you and the defendant were
No,
sitting.
I was joking. He can't plead
How did you
ineffective
sustain that
assistance
injury?
of counsel.
From him, Mr. Brooks, when he hit me.
You know, it's interesting. I didn't stream the trial because I wasn't streaming trials at the time. I don't remember it. I wonder if he did preserve any real appealable issues at his trial. I doubt it because he doesn't know how to object. But
Ms. Patterson, did you
Who knows?
consent
Maybe.
in any way to being struck in the face?
No.
That's all I have for this witness.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brooks. Do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do. First of all, good morning
Good morning.
and happy birthday.
Thank you.
hey, Cindy Lou.
You stated that you were hanging out with your friend Miss Corey on the day of this incident, correct?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that you were hanging out drinking?
Yes.
Would it also be fair to say that you occasionally drink too much?
Objection, colleagues.
Sustained.
Would it be fair to say that, well, let me back up. What were you drinking?
A Mike's Hard beverage.
Were you aware that it was said that you were actually drinking vodka?
No.
Objection.
Hold on. When there's an objection, I need to rule on it first, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Sustained that mischaracterizes the previous testimony. Next
I
question.
don't know how old she was.
So it would be fair to say that you were drinking.
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that you were?
Wasn't she a minor? Didn't that come up in this trial that she was a minor? Or am I thinking of something different? I don't remember.
A little intoxicated.
I was not.
How much did you drink?
She looked
that night?
mad or more nervous.
One of the Mike's Hard alcohol beverage.
And around what time of the day was that?
I don't remember.
Was it shortly before meeting up with the alleged defendant, or was it sometime before?
It was before.
He's got an
Did you
attorney
have
for the
anything to
second
drink
trial.
after?
No, I did not.
You stated that you were engaging in a conversation with the alleged defendant via the telephone. Would that be fair to say?
Yes,
Texts, phone calls?
yes.
With the alleged defendant, you are the defendant,
Were
sir.
those texts and phone calls of what nature were they of?
Me and Mr. Brooks were arguing throughout the day.
In the texts and phone calls?
Yes, we were.
Why do they both
if
talk
they were-
in the third person? That's weird.
If the conversation was argumentative, why would you agree to meet up with the alleged defendant?
I do not know.
Okay, you're the alleged murderer. You are, in fact, the defendant. But they both talk about Brooks in the third person, so it's really weird. It is a different judge for the second trial. And he gets on well with this judge. Like, he was really friendly and chummy with her earlier today during the hearing. And if you're coming in late, you can go back to the beginning. We played the pretrial hearing from today, and now we're just going over the ex-girlfriend's testimony.
Do you recall how the meetup was supposed to be set up?
I don't recall.
Did you at any time ask the alleged defendant to meet up with you?
Well, I told Mr. Brooks where I was.
Did you at any time ask
Is she a
to meet up
sovereign?
with the alleged defendant?
No, I did not.
So it would be fair to say that the alleged defendant just came where you were?
Yes, I told you we were. And obviously, we were going to hang out. I never told Mr. Brooks to hang out with me. I told him where we were.
So why would, if there was an argumentative conversation prior to you meeting up with the alleged defendant, why would you tell the alleged defendant where you were?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
You just stated that you really don't know the city of Waukesha. Would that be fair to say?
Yes,
So how would you know exactly where you were?
Yes, Justin.
because I was with Corey and she's familiar with this area.
Would it be fair to say that Corey overheard these conversations between you and the alleged defendant?
Yes, she was my roommate. She heard every conversation almost.
When you say every conversation, what would that
When
refer to?
she was in the room with me, when I was always talking to Mr. Brooks on the phone, she would hear the conversations. She heard me and Mr. Brooks, me, Erika Patterson, and Mr. Brooks arguing the day of the parade earlier before we left.
So it would be fair to say that you were engaged in conversation with the alleged defendant before you even left the women's shelter?
Yes,
And those argumentative conversations continue into your hanging out?
yes,
Would it be
That's
fair
what
to
she
say that that's
testified
what led
to.
you to drink?
no,
Would it be fair to say you were drinking because that's what you wanted to do?
yes,
Is it true that one of
It's
the
the middle of the day,
rules and
right?
requirements of being at the women's shelter is no drugs and no alcohol? Would that be fair to say?
yes. But when I was drinking, it was at Frame Park. I was not at the women's shelter.
Would it be fair to say that you knew you had to come back into the women's shelter at some point that day, that they have a curfew?
Yes, and I made it before curfew.
Let me back up a little bit. You did state that part of the rules and requirements for being in the women's shelter is no drugs and no alcohol, correct?
Yes, it was not in the women's shelter.
That's not what I'm asking. It's part of the requirement and rules of the women's shelter, no drugs, no alcohol.
Yes,
No objection asked and answered twice.
Sustained. Next question, Mr. Brooks.
That really wasn't answered. I know what he was getting at.
Is there any type of drug and alcohol testing at the women's shelter?
I don't know. No,
No, or you don't know?
I don't know.
Would it be fair to say that if it was
He's
found
trying
that
to
you were
impeach her
engaging in
credibility,
drugs
so
and
that's why
alcohol,
it's
that you might have
relevant.
lost your place at the women's shelter?
I'll object. I don't see how this is going.
Sustained. Next question.
I think it's relevant if you're trying to impeach her
So
credibility.
around what time were you?
She says she only had one Mike's hard lemonade or whatever, right? She's not supposed to be drinking. She doesn't know that there's drug and alcohol testing, so maybe she can get away with it. Maybe she was drunk. I don't know. It's not a very good character assassination or credibility of the witness attack, but I think he should have been able to make the argument.
Hanging out with Miss Corey, you said?
I don't remember.
Do you remember where you were at?
Frame Park.
Do you remember where in Frame Park?
No.
Hey,
And
Wendy.
approximately at what time did you meet up with the alleged defendant?
I don't remember.
I love the alleged
How long
defendant.
were
I'm
you
gonna start calling my clients that
with
now.
the alleged defendant? Do you remember that?
Approximately 35 minutes.
Do you recall what? Well, you said that during this time you were with the alleged defendant that there was a argument going on. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Do you remember what that argument was about?
He was arguing with me about money because I did not bail him out.
You also said that.
Well, she said no to that.
Well, let me back up from that a little bit. If you knew that the conversation was becoming volatile, why did you still meet up with the alleged defendant?
I don't know.
To your knowledge, did the alleged defendant know anything about the city of Waukesha?
Yes.
And what did the alleged defendant know about Waukesha?
He told me, Mr. Brooks told me that his first child's mother lives in Waukesha.
Do you know that?
That's what Mr. Brooks told me.
That's the original feed. I don't know what's going on.
Are you aware that the alleged defendant in fact has no mother of any child that lives in the city of Waukesha?
Objection. If Mr. Brooks wants to testify, you should do so in a different state of trial.
Sustained. You don't need to answer that.
Yes, ma'am.
Other than what you can recall about what the alleged defendant told you that they knew about Waukesha, how did the alleged defendant meet up with you in the location that you gave?
Mr. Brooks already knew where Frame Park was. Mr. Brooks previously had been to Waukesha plenty of times before. He's told me that.
And when was that told to you, and what conversation? Was it that day?
Before that, I'm not sure which day it was. I just know he knows about Waukesha.
So would it be fair to say that
I do like her answer. She's tight.
when
She
you
doesn't
told
go
the
off. She
alleged
doesn't go like on the attack against him. You know, you can imagine her wanting to vent maybe a little, and she's totally under control. And she's just answering his stupid little questions. What's up, Lefty? Hello, hello. I'm not gonna be able to finish this testimony right now. I'm gonna go for another few minutes, but I'm not gonna be able to finish it. And we'll just try to pick up maybe Monday when we'll see what's going on with the trial. But again, if you're coming in late, we played Darrell Brooks' pretrial hearing from earlier today. He's on trial again for all the acts that we're testifying to right now, or that they're testifying to right now regarding his ex-girlfriend. And that trial starts on Monday with jury selection. Although there's a possibility of doing a bench trial instead of jury, there's also still a plea offer apparently still out there. So maybe he takes it. I don't know. But anyways, I'm going to post a stream for this trial, day one, for Monday. Although I'm not going to go if there's nothing really to cover. So as soon as the trial starts, then I'll go live with it. Welcome all.
That the alleged
who are
defendant knew
watching.
exactly where you were.
Yes.
And how would the alleged defendant know that?
Because Mr. Brooks already knew Waukesha. He knew exactly where to go.
Did you at any time give directions where you may have been?
How could I give directions when I barely knew Waukesha myself?
Is that a no?
That's a no, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
So if you barely knew Waukesha yourself, where did you get the information of where you were from, where you were at the time of the conversation via telephone?
I left the women's shelter with Corey, and
Wendy, if you're still here, can you put a link into Lefty's channel in my chat? Everyone needs to go sub. Oh, look at that. Oh no, that's my Lego channel. Can you put Lefty's in there? Everyone go sub to Lefty. He needs 239 more to get monetized. Let's make it happen.
She told me what Frame Park was. I didn't know the name.
Oh, she did already. Up there it is.
And would it be fair to say assuming from what you just said, that you were with the alleged defendant for approximately around 30 minutes or so?
Yes.
Oh, wait, I pinned the wrong one.
And during that time,
There we go. Now it's pinned.
did you make any disparaging remarks or anything to entice the argument to escalate?
No.
So you didn't say anything at all during your 30 minutes with the alleged defendant?
No, because I was crying the whole time because Mr. Brooks was yelling at me, arguing with me.
So you said absolutely nothing at all?
I was crying the whole time.
Did you say anything?
No.
Anything for you, Lefty? Even though your mods time me out all the time.
A few more questions.
Okay.
You said that during this, well, once you had got out of the vehicle, as you say, you stated that your friend Miss Corey pulled you away from the vehicle because it swerved.
Yes, it was in the video.
You do
I
know
forgot I
that we
have
just
that.
saw the video. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, but there's 2 angles of the video.
Well, we only saw one, so I'm referring to the
Yes,
video that we saw.
Corey pulled me out the way when Mr. Brooks made a U-turn, and you almost swerved into Miss Patterson, which is me.
Would it be fair to say that the video does not show that?
There's different angles, but the video does not show that, the video we watched.
So the video that we just watched, that the jury just saw, there is no swerving of the vehicle and you being pulled back. Would that be fair to
From
say?
that far angle, you can kind of see it. Yes.
Would that be fair to say? If
You
there's-
answered the question, Mr. Brooks. Next question. Under 906.11 sub 1 sub C, I direct your attention to that.
Take care,
next
Lefty.
question.
Have fun at work.
Do you recall what was said during the altercation between is it Miss Corey and the alleged defendant?
No, I don't remember.
Would it be fair to say that you were standing right there?
Yes, I just don't remember what was being said.
Do you recall reporting anything that may have been said during that incident?
No,
Did you give a statement to anything that may have been said during that incident?
no,
Was anything directed towards you verbally in that incident?
yes. Corey told Mr. Brooks, don't ever hit my effing friend again.
I think Corey's going to testify during this next trial. Sorry, folks. I got other obligations. As I've said on a few streams, my mother-in-law is in town from Sweden. She is cooking us dinner, and then we got to go roundabout and meet and greets and all that good stuff. So I'm going to have to end it there, but I did want to at least cover part of it to kind of get my head around it. It's been a while since we watched this case. If you back up, if you came in late, if you go back to the beginning, you can watch the pretrial hearing where they talk about the 6 additional charges that Darrell Brooks is now facing for witness intimidation based off of phone calls that he was making from jail. I can't wait to hear those calls. I'm going to try to get a hold of them if I can ahead of time. At the very least, we'll probably hear them during the trial. So, yeah, everyone go enjoy your evening. Have a wonderful Friday and a weekend. No Jody this weekend. I have family commitments as well as Nick. So we nobody has time for Jody, unfortunately. This could be twice only that we've missed Jody. But we'll be back next weekend with Jody, and maybe Monday we'll have a trial, the Darrell Brooks trial. Should be a lot of fun, and I will see you guys then. Bye.
When I was young, my daddy said, gotta keep one eye open in your bed, 'cause there's a time coming when the...
Just I saw send us to Excited Utterance. I can't redirect because I'm not monetized. As soon as I can redirect, I will happily send you guys everywhere you want to go.
When I was young, my daddy said, gotta keep one eye